Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to be taking a look at this very low cost option to create Super Nintendo reproduction cartridges. So this is the SNES flasher from InfiniteNESLives.com. Pretty awesome. They do have several different configurations of this for other systems, NES and Famicom. You do need a USB type B cable to plug into this and into your PC. So if you do grab one of these, you're going to have to make sure you have this cable because it is not included. Little LED light, nice, shows that it's connected. We have a little switch here to flash our games, and then the other side is if you're pretty much upgrading the firmware to the board. And there's a little reset button on there as well that you can hit. So they do have several different boards, which are just different memory sizes. All the boards are the same. And they all have a high and low ROM switch, making things super simple. These are pretty exciting. You cannot make an SNES Repro any easier than with this kit. I'm just super excited, and it's pretty cheap as well. As you see, I've already made a Final Fantasy VI. This is the retranslation, the English translation of the original Japanese version, and then I'm doing Earthbound Uncut, or Mother 2, in English. So this is the one we're going to take a look at and flash today to show how this works. So essentially, once you have this, you're just putting this, the board onto the flasher with the battery side facing back, and then you're ready to take a look at the software. So let's go ahead and do that. Pop open the software and see how easy this is. So let's do it. Okay, guys, so here is the software, the SNES flasher. Link will be in the description to download this. In the future, we'll probably do a more in-depth look, but today we're just going to cover some of the basics. So once you open this up, this is what you are greeted with. Seems like there's a lot of options, and there are, but you really don't need to do anything. Just being honest here, this could not be more simple. So as you see here, it does say ROM file name, and then you have the little button over here, which is what you will click to select your game. Now, as long as over on this left side, the Kazoo interface core version 4, and then it says Kazoo is connected, you are good to go. Your light on the board should be on, and then what you're going to do is go ahead and select your ROM. So we're doing Earthbound Uncut, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. So now it's loading it up. We're going to have a few things that it shows. Patch internal, it applied 6 patches, so there's some little things that it did essentially to make it work on these boards, is what I'm assuming. This is all new to me. I am learning at the same time, but I've also found that this is very simple and easy. So you see up here, basic info, we do have the ROM name. Valid, it says yes. Is it compatible with the Infinite NES Lives board? And then it says likely, and then it says switch high ROM. So what you would want to do is, if you do not already have that switch on high ROM, you're going to go ahead and switch it over on the actual game board. If it's already there, cool. If it's on low ROM, you do need to move it over. And then over here where it says SNES checksum match, it says okay. And then the calculated checksum match says fail. So from what I have gathered looking into this, essentially most hacked games or translated games are going to show this. It's going to say that the calculated checksum match has failed. And also a lot of actual ROM dumps from original games will show that. So essentially you should be fine. What I have discovered, at least from the few games that I've tried messing with, since I'm using an 8 megabyte board, I'm only having success putting big games on here. If you're going to do smaller games, make sure you get the smaller board. The bigger boards are essentially only used for the games that are really big, like role-playing games. If you want to flash games that are smaller, such as Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Super Mario World, stuff like that, make sure you get the smaller board. That way there's no issues. I'm going to be getting some smaller boards in and doing a handful of other games in the near future. Can't wait to do that, but for now we're just doing a couple role-playing games. And like I said, Earthbound Uncut. So as you see, moving on, we have a bunch of options that are check marked. I haven't touched any of that stuff for any of the games that I've tried flashing. Everything has been good. Back over on this side, it's just showing the rest of the information, how big the game is and whatnot. So from here, There's only one thing we need to do because everything else auto-populated, data type, cart size, it just, checked it all out. So what we have here is going to be, auto erase cart. If you leave that checked, it's just going to automatically erase the cartridge and then flash what you're selecting to flash. If you don't want to do that and it's a fresh board, you can uncheck that and it'll just flash the game. Or if you just want to get prepared and you have games already put on these boards, you can erase it just by clicking the erase button. And supposedly these boards are good to be, flashed and reflashed like thousands of times and have no issue. So I wouldn't worry too much if you decide, I don't really want that game, or I want a different version and redo it. Or if you have an unsuccessful flash, hey, try a different game or a different set. So pretty much all we need to do now is just click execute. It's only going to take a couple minutes. Typically about 2 to 3 minutes, and then your game is good to go. So we're going to go ahead and let it fly through this process, get our cartridge ready, and then we're going to go ahead and plug it into a Super Nintendo and see if she works. Okay, cool. So there we go. Write complete. So it did take, what does it say, 221 seconds, so a few minutes. Not a big deal. It usually will take less time if you don't have to erase the cart. But since I'd already tested this with other games and whatnot, I had to go ahead and make sure it was erased. So pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and pop this into the shell, plug it into the Super Nintendo, and see if she works. Okay, cool. So I just plugged in Earthbound Uncut into my Super Nintendo, booted her up, and she seems to be running just fine. So I'm very happy with this. Very simple and easy process, reasonably priced. Definitely going to be buying more carts. I did buy some of these shells that they sell through the website, and they're okay, but I'm sure I could find better quality ones elsewhere. I just wanted to make sure I had a couple shells to use in order to test this out and have a couple games to play. So I'm definitely going to be looking for a better source for shells. These ones, they do the job. They're fine, but they do seem a little cheap, and there's little problems with the molding, I guess. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. But yeah, this is pretty cool for flashing translations, hacks, and stuff like that. Essentially, this is, the Earthbound we received in the US, but it was censored originally, so this is pretty much the uncensored version, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in Final Fantasy VI, the retranslation, and see how that works. So here we go. Looking good. This is the English translation. Pretty awesome stuff. I see a lot of places selling repros of this version of the game. And I was kind of, intrigued to check it out. This, it's kind of similar to the Earthbound Uncut in that it's just went back and retranslated some things that were changed, for the US release. So that's really what I wanted this for, was to check out games that either never came out here or check out translations, ROM hacks, a lot of cool stuff like that, and play it on original hardware. That's really where it's at for me. For other people, hey, this might not be for them, but some people do like having actual cartridges, and some also don't care if they're reproductions or not. So these boards, from what I have been told and the information I have seen, are very safe. They're not like the Chinese repros where the voltage is wrong and can damage your system over time. These are all regulated perfectly to be able to be played on your Super Nintendo hardware without possibly damaging it. So that is a definite plus. Can't wait to make some more games and, not really make them, but you know what I mean. Make some reproductions, make some new labels and whatnot. I do have an old video that I did on making reproduction labels, which is the process that I did for making the labels for these cartridges. If you're interested, peep that out. I may do an updated version of that in the future. just kind of showing some of the templates I use and giving some downloads and stuff like that, if there's enough demand and interest for it. And with that said, guys, I do appreciate you stopping in and peeping this out. If you could, smash that like button. It means the world to me. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Check me out on Patreon. You don't have to, but if you want to support this channel to help me continue doing projects and videos and producing content, it's super appreciated. And it also enters you into some pretty sweet contests. We are giving away Nintendo Switch, Super Nintendo Classic, and a bunch of Raspberry Pi related gaming stuff this month. So, hey, check it out. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And boom.